Today we're joined by a very special guest, Drew Weatherhead. If you've spent any time in the Jiu Jitsu world, you've likely come across his work. Drew is a prolific coach who's trained with some of the best minds in the sport, and he's ever present online. Between his popular online courses and his Instagram account, BecauseJitsu, which more than 10 years on remains one of the most followed jiu-jitsu meme accounts out there, Drew has carved out a unique and respected place in the community. And even with all of that, he's also found the time to author 2 books. In this conversation, we'll explore his BJJ journey, where his focus lies today, and his thoughts on the future of the art. Maybe even get into some favorite techniques and training insights along the way. Let's get into it.
This is episode 21 of the Black, and Blue podcast. My name is Travis. This is the Canadian Tree Stump Emmett. And we have Drew Weatherhead.
Hey, thanks for having me here today, guys.
In his fancy BJJ Fanatics t-shirt. I like how you opened it up,
Yeah, my wife always gets on my case about it because half of my attire is now jiu-jitsu shirts and half of that half is all BJJ Fanatics. Because
half?
They throw you merch every time you're there. And it's like, you feel like they're blessing you and like, wow, that's so cool. And what it turns into is you're just a walking advertisement everywhere you go for the rest of your life.
I just have to go outside for 1 second and get some merch. I'll be right back.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, right? Parabellum.
Yeah, I think I have almost like 90% of my shirts are jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
It's
and
insane.
For some reason, most of them are black with white.
Yeah.
That's like most of them. My wife's like, are you colorblind? I'm like, I might as well be at this point because everything is black and white.
I am, so I just go with it.
There you go.
It all works.
Your shirt is black?
Well, I know that it's black, and then someone told me that it was red. I was like, I was hoping it was orange.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You got a red thing, right?
Yeah. I don't see like that color spectrum. I see out of like 32 colors, I see 8.
So you don't see red, bro.
No, I see it. I don't even know what color. It's normal people.
That's funny because you got the orange bar on your black belt, right?
Yeah, that's the piss off other black belts. Black belt right there.
Have you pissed off other black belts?
Oh, so many. I got when I like posted that with my one stripe.
Mm-hmm.
I only have like 3,000 some followers, but I got probably about 40 messages being like, "That's so disrespectful to this."
Really?
I was like, dude, just like, come on, like, look at the rest of my Instagram. I wear the orange gi. I wear camo gi. Like, chill.
Wait. Give me some context here. What was the disrespectful thing?
So black belts have like a red bar, or if you're a competitor, they have a white bar.
Right.
And I ripped that red bar off and I put on a piece of my original orange gi.
Oh, okay.
And I just put it on there as like, I like the orange. I kind of also like to piss off the IBJJF crew. And so people like just tried to, and like I just laughed it off. I don't care.
Well, it's funny because, the black belt didn't used to have a bar at all. Back in Elio's day, he took on essentially the judo style belt, the karate style belt that had no bar. The bar got created much later than him. And in fact, he never even had a black belt for the longest time. He had a dark blue belt.
It was like white, light blue, and then dark blue.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. So white is a new student. Light blue was an advanced student, whatever that meant at that time. And then the dark blue was the instructor. And at a certain point, they fully adopted the judo belt system, which, by the way, for people who don't know, was adopted from swimming in Japan. So, I mean, everybody, it's all just fudging around and trying to figure out what you like, more or less. But then it gets codified, and then you get these culty people being like, no, it should always. And it's like, bro, chill. If he's got a creamsicle belt, I don't care. It's like we're in such a show me art, which is so funny that people get pissy about that type of nuance, because it's like, can you do the thing on the mat or not? Does anything else matter besides that? Should anything else matter besides that?
Do you compete at that level and show what you can do? Awesome. You're there, kind of thing.
Yeah. Do you pay enough influencers to go get a black belt in 3.5 years?
I mean, if I was getting like a crazy amount of money, I'd be like, you know what, here you go. What's the worst that could happen? I don't got much notoriety or like credibility to my name. Those people that like gave it, it's just like, damn, man.
Yeah, that Moneyberg thing's quite a hot topic this year. It's one of my favorite meme talk. They gave me so much ammunition with that.
Apparently, I don't even pay Travis enough to give me a black belt in 3.5 years. So,
Not yet. Not yet.
Ask Derek what he ended up spending, and then you'll know how far along the path you are.
yeah,
I don't think you think about jiu-jitsu enough. I think that's the
right.
problem.
That's probably
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
You got to think more about
You
jiu-jitsu.
might just not be smart enough too. He's a pretty smart guy.
Yeah, he's really well spoken. Yeah, yeah, and stylish.
The socks.
The socks, yeah, man, the
Man,
socks.
I love the socks thing because anytime you see like any photo in jiu-jitsu and they have their socks on, you're like, oh, look at this Moneyberg looking guy.
Oh man,
You're like, oh.
Now, get this. So I've been trying to figure out how to put this into a meme, and I'll figure it out eventually. But there is going to be somebody in a not too distant future, 5-10 years from now, that is going to be promoted by Derek Moneyberg.
Oh.
So who is going to be the first black belt under him?
Huh.
What are we even talking about at that point? Who's going to be the first blue belt? Somebody's going to get promoted, and then they got to like hide their lineage somewhere under a rock.
That's when we're hitting karate level, like the
Brother.
like the karate in the mall kind of level of jiu-jitsu, and you're just
Yeah.
like,
I bet you his first promotee will be a billionaire.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he's gonna be someone of wealth and probably fat. Oh, I'm just gonna say it right now. You're probably gonna see a belly on that guy.
Yeah.
Or it'll be like his personal assistant. You know that it's like, Chuck, I think you're ready. You know, like, oh, thanks, Derek.
Yeah. Breaks it out. Here you go.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, it's getting funny. And like, who? I commented on one video, and it was Drysdale.
Yeah.
And he was talking about like IBJJF and the Moneyberg thing. And I was like, and it was like, well, if you believe in this, you don't believe in that. I was like, they both suck. And I wrote that on that. And I've gotten like probably 100 likes. And then one guy's like, well, you got a stripe on your belt, so you must abide by it. I was like, no. The guy that gave me the black belt just said, hey, it's time. Here's the stripe. I was like, sweet, let's make an event out of it and make a seminar. And then all my crew has to show up in a gi, so then I can actually promote them. It was awesome.
Yeah, it's utilitarian at the very least.
Yeah.
I mean, Drysdale's a great guy. He's a very smart guy. He's done a lot of like philosophical writing as well as like historiological writing about jiu-jitsu. But he's very steeped in the IBJJF because between that and ADCC, he made his name. He had an incredible competitive record at like one of the early peaks of the Brazilian competition scenes. And so he's got a lot of credit due to those systems. So I think for that reason, talking to somebody or listening to somebody talk about that from that position, yeah, he's going to give it maybe more credit than it's due. But that being said, I mean, without the IBJJF, I don't think that jiu-jitsu really exists past the 90s.
Oh, yeah. We needed a federation. We needed something to like kind of glue it together and give a rule set or a way to move forward. They're making you like, hey, if you want to be a black belt under us, you have to pay us and you have to do this. It's like, okay, now you're getting pyramid scammy. In my mind, I'm like, yeah. Like,
they got all their shitty little things that they do.
yeah.
Like,
And if you're like from North America and you're competing against someone from Brazil, you ain't winning.
no, you're starting with that negative Brazilian advantage. You got to come back from that one.
You know, I was gonna say, kind of like to each his own, I guess. I think where it starts being a problem is for someone who's just starting and they're like, okay, well, these guys do it this way, these guys do it this way. What's the right way? Who do I train with? Like, sure, it's one thing to say, well, find a gym that works for you. But I mean, with all these different sort of governing bodies and styles and approaches, for someone to whom it is a mystery to begin with, where do you start, you know?
Well, welcome to jiu-jitsu is what I would say. There's no way around that. I don't think there's a single format or construct that you could build that would encapsulate all of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
The problem is, like, compared to almost any other martial art, name another martial art, even the other grappling arts like judo, for example, it's been codified, but it has, 76 throws or something like that. Like, you can enumerate them,
Right.
and you're expected to know a certain amount by a certain belt, and like, is very rigid in that way. Try
Right.
doing that with jiu-jitsu. Try just doing, okay, here are every single move you can do from close guard.
Yeah.
how many years is that going to take to learn?
Well,
Are
if
you
we're
going
talking
to
about,
use them
if we're
all?
talking about me, it's 1 or 2. So
So we're talking.
You put 2.
yeah, 1. It's 1.
It will be thousands of possible techniques that are going to be like plug and play for building out any person's specific game.
Yeah.
And so how are you supposed to qualify that against an arbitrary measure?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you're going to get like, yeah, this arbitrary measure is for this, which is IBJJF or ADCC or fill in the blank when it comes to, well, at least there's something. But really, I think they're just trying to like add a little bit of credibility to a sport that is so expansive, or I should say an art that's so expansive. Like in karate, you have 2 legs and 2 arms, and there's only so many things you can do with them. There's certain punches and certain kicks, and then you've learned it. And then it's all just about motor memory. It's about speed and timing and putting them together, and you make your sort of individual style like that. But jiu-jitsu is not like that at all. Yeah, we have the same number of limbs, but how you use them is so much more expansive. And I think because of that, you're never going to have the ability to cordon it off into any sort of code.
And there's like the incorporation of the throws and the stand up
Of
and
course.
everything, right? It's not just a one-dimensional.
Jiu-jitsu is like the great thief, right? Because we stole everything, like from judo, from wrestling.
They don't like to talk about that. It all came from Elio Gracie, right?
Totally. But like you see people shooting amazing double legs, but they classify themselves as jiu-jitsu guys, and you're like, well, we just stole that from there. Or catch wrestling techniques, sambo. All we've done is went, we like that, yoink, jiu-jitsu now, here's a new name for it. And you're like, well, that had a name. We're just like, nah, that's jiu-jitsu now.
There's something to that for sure. I don't think that the names are as important as what's going on. And I think that's another thing people get stuck up on. If it isn't the belt or the rank or the competition,
Who you got your belt from?
Yeah, exactly. So, no, we don't call that scarf hold here. We call that kasagatami, or we don't, that's a juji gatami. You know, like they get really picky. It's just another way to be culty. Again, like what can you do on the mats? Period.
Yeah. Is there anything in jiu-jitsu right now, development wise, trajectory wise, that you find really exciting?
In the grander scheme right now, what's been happening for the past, I'd say 5 or 6 years, although you could probably go back 10, is a leaning more into nogi, which is a much more kinetic style of the art where there's not as many grips. It's a lot faster paced on average. So the reaction times get cut in half and quarter and eighth, and like fractions of a second can change the entire match. Whereas the gi, that's really not the case. There's very few scrambles you can't follow. And because of that, it's become a much more spectator-friendly sport. And because of that, now there's money that's getting put into it because you can actually make pay-per-views that matter. And that is influencing the art in a way that's pushing more towards a scramble-heavy style preference. So you look at people like, one of my favorite up-and-comers right now is Joseph Chen. Oh my God, it's so much fun to watch. I don't care who he's going against, if he's his weight class or lower or higher. I don't care. Just put him against anybody. Or like the Rotolo brothers, put them against anybody. It's not like they can't do that in the gi, but it's so much easier and more accessible no gi. And then you throw them in a pits or in a cage or whatever and just watch them go. Wind them up and watch them go.
Who is that little guy that went for CJI?
I know who you're talking about.
He was like, he went against like the giant dude.
This is,
and he threw him.
Yeah.
Little Mexican guy. Frick, I can't remember his name right now. It's not coming to my head.
I know.
He's with the New Wave crew, but he didn't used to be with them. He's only been with them for a couple of years or something like that. Well, we're looking it up. He's
phenomenal.
I knew that he was going to be a game changer for that team when I saw him on there. It's the same thing as like a man, I'm bad with names. Is good. Really kill me on this one. Mika Galvao.
Yes.
Man.
I felt like for whatever reason CJI wasn't his stage. Like I watched him at ADCC. I swear that guy has magical abilities. He was just like, I'm here, and then it was like, poof, I'm here on your back. I was like, other than him wearing a black belt, which felt really off-putting, I did not like that. But
you know why he does that, right?
to piss me off? I
Yes.
don't know. Yeah, he's like,
Just for you.
he's like,
no,
"That's
you
Travis."
Libre black belt and
Yeah.
then wear their belts over their shorts.
Yeah.
That's like a thing they do.
I mean, just get the graphic on the shorts.
There you go, the old BJ Penn.
Yeah, right. But yeah, other than that, like his grappling was so amazing, every bit of it at ADCC. And then I was like so excited for it when it came into CJI, and then I was like, but I mean, it's the level of people that he was against, maybe, or I don't know.
That's half of it. But name a person that was exciting to watch. You're going to be able to probably not fill up one hand.
Yeah,
And
it's
not because they sucked, and it's not because the level was so high that they couldn't do anything. I think it's the rule set. The rule set really neutered that whole thing because it turned into a team sport, and it's not a team sport. So you're having people that any given match that you watch on there would have been a super fight on any other card. Every single one of them was pay-per-view quality as far as the namesake. But the thing is, they're going in with coaches in their ear saying, just stall this one out. We just need you to knock this guy out. You're going against Nicky Rod. Just make sure he doesn't win. That's all that matters. It's the only format I've ever seen in jiu-jitsu where you can lose and win.
Yeah,
you lose to win.
That was Varner Rocha's like only thing, and that dude, like, credit to that guy. He went against everyone. He didn't lose, and he was just the guy to take out.
Yeah, he's unsubmittable.
Yeah.
Very few people have ever tapped him.
What a monster!
Yeah,
Like,
lost a tooth and threw it into the crowd and roared.
Yeah.
See that part? Holy cow!
And
that guy's 45.
Older than that, I think.
Yeah, I think
yeah.
he's that, yeah. And he competed at the last ADCC.
Yeah, he took second.
Yeah,
against Mika.
What unbelievable! There's no one else that I'm just like admiring. Like, it's between him and Lee Mean for like old guys doing crazy shit beyond their times.
Yeah, and he's one of those guys, no matter who you are going against him, you're probably a little bit worried after that first cupping head swat. You know, he's one of the meanest competitors out there. It's like that air that you had around Toquinho. You remember? You go in against Paul Harris and something's going to snap, you know, whether it should or not. He's just going to keep going until it snaps. And there's that same kind of air when you go against Hocha. Is like, you're going to get hurt. He's a mean guy and he's looking to hurt you.
Arms across the face, that crazy, like that choke that he was doing.
Sure, yeah. Kind of rapey choke. And he's got like the gas mask thing he loves.
I love the muffler because I use it on everyone. I think it's the funniest thing ever. But like, he's just a absolute beast.
I saw that show where it's like this and he's pulling the fingers down.
Yes, grips, and then he like pulls that in.
Right.
It's awesome. I did it to Max. I was like, hey Max, I got something to try. And then like we're rolling, he's like, you're never gonna catch me. And I was like,
now I have to.
Yeah. It's the funniest thing ever.
What originally drew you to jiu-jitsu?
Well, I started with different martial arts first, and really it was the interest in martial arts that eventually sort of filtered me and funneled me down towards jiu-jitsu. So I wasn't allowed to do martial arts when I was growing up. I wouldn't even say allowed. It's just my parents didn't care to, and they didn't really have the money to put me into it. You know, we were kind of a lower middle class family. My dad was a teacher
in Alberta,
in BC at that time.
BC,
yeah, born in Alberta but grew up in BC, and so by the time I hit 18, like I had wanted to be a Ninja Turtle since grade 1.
Yeah.
So I just needed an outlet. And sure as shit, once I moved out of the house, within the first 4 months, I was in karate. And because I had friends that were in karate, I'm like, yes, finally, let's do karate. And then I was in that for like 3 years or so. I got an orange belt and Goju.
I was gonna say you're probably second Dan black belt.
Yeah.
3 years?
Yeah. Thankfully, I got into one of the harder styles, like hard in the techniques they use, because they kind of qualify them in hard and soft styles in a lot of Japanese styles. And although Gojuru or Goju Kai literally means hard soft, so it kind of uses both. But either way, it's actually a difficult one to get a black belt in compared to other karate styles. It takes about 10 years, which is a lot for a karate style. Like you're saying, 3 to 5 years usually you'll have a black belt, but that one was a long path. So anyways, 3 years in, but I had done like a couple tournaments and we sparred like once or twice a week, and it was all like pull your punches and the ref says you were close enough to get a point kind of thing. And I always had that little nagging feeling in the back of my head that I'm like, I don't know if I could actually fight somebody with this, because I've never had to punch somebody in the mouth, and I've never been punched in the mouth after 3 years of training how to punch people in the mouth.
Yeah, was it the style like anything below the face, or you could kick the face?
You could kick and punch wherever, but there's like points that qualify a little bit more or this, a little bit less for that. And so it kind of like gamifies it so that you sort of aim for certain things. And that's all well and good if you can then flip the invisible switch when it comes time to fight and you haven't trained your body to pull your punches. Because I'd never had to punch through a guy's face ever. Yeah. And so again, I had that little nagging feeling. It's like, I don't know how realistic this is. Not that the moves aren't realistic, but I'm not training them realistically. So how do I know? And so I about 2 to 3 years in before I sort of switched styles, I decided, you know what? All right. So I've got an unarmed combat style. Now going back to my Ninja Turtle roots, I'm going to need an armed combat style too. I don't know what to do if somebody pulls a knife. If they got a weapon, then all my karate is useless. So, okay, let's get a weapon style. I'm really going to round out my styles here. So we did the unarmed thing with karate for a few years. And then I went into Filipino stick fighting. Cali. Illustrissimo Cali. And go figure, when I was living in Red Deer, there was actually one of the grand masters in his style in the world living in Red Deer, because Canada attracts a lot of Filipino people. Yeah. And this guy, he grew up with the guy who created his specific style when he was like in the 50s and 60s down in, I forget what part of the country he was in, but he lived with the master for like 10 years. And
I'm just going to say Manila.
Yeah, I think it probably was Manila. And
man, it was legit.
Oh, dude, the stories you would hear from this guy. His English was okay. It was enough to understand what's going on. And some of the stories is like he went to jail for cutting a guy's hand off at one point. Yes. And I don't even know if I'm allowed to talk about this, but I'm pretty sure I am. The stories are pretty crazy. Yeah.
There's got to be a ton of Cali masters in
here. But anyways, so I trained with him for a couple of years, and it was sort of the same thing, because almost every training session was a one-on-one, or sometimes we'd have two people and the master there, and most of it was learning movements, learning patterns, learning striking angles, and then you would practice them against the tire that was on a stick, and then you'd try to get like the rhythm, and you'd learn these patterns. And then when it came to sparring, I only ever did it a few times in 2 years that I was there, because usually it was privates with this guy, and you'd have an hour with him, and then the next guy would come in, kind of thing. But I asked him, like, can I do some actual like fighting sparring? And he's like, oh yeah, we've got padded sticks, and we've got helmets that you put on. I'm like, great, put the helmet on me, throw me the padded sticks. And same thing, like I was probably 18 months into training 4 times a week. And I went in there with a helmet on and padded sticks, and it turned into whack-a-mole immediately. Yeah. Like all the technique goes out the window when somebody's there trying to whack you back. And I'm thinking to myself, if these were blades, we'd both be cut to ribbons, and we're training this. I don't feel very trained all of a sudden in what they're saying they're training me. And it's not to say that the techniques won't work. And it's not to say that they taught me nothing. But again, I had no actual legitimate feedback. And once I did, I was like, oh, I don't know anymore. And so, I mean, I had watched the UFC back when it was on VHS, when I had to rent it from Rogers Video. Yep. And so I had that in the back of my mind when I was like 16, I had been watching that stuff. Yeah. And so I was probably about 19, 20, maybe early 20s by the time that I'd done karate, I'd done Cali, and I was like, you know what? We're going back to MMA. What do I need? I've got a fighting style, unarmed. I've got an armed style. I don't have a ground style. Yeah. And apparently a lot of fights go to the ground. So let's do a ground style. And of course it's got to be jiu-jitsu, because it's Hoist Gracie. Hoist Gracie beat everybody, right? So I'm going to look. So I go into the yellow pages of the phone book to date myself. There's no Googling stuff in 2007. And I looked up jiu-jitsu, and there was precisely one. There was one place. It was the only one that had an ad for it, had a phone number. I phoned it up, and they said, show up next Wednesday. And it was in a guy's garage, and the guy didn't even own the garage. He was in another person's garage that he rented out. No way. He already had it padded for a different style of jiu-jitsu, like a Japanese style one. And this guy's doing Brazilian style in there. And that's where I started. There was like 6 people in the class, and I would go twice a week. And it was the same instructor that I had from first day till brown belt.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
And so I just sort of like lucked my way into it during a very like Wild West portion of time for Alberta Jiu-Jitsu, because at that point there was only one black belt in the entire province, which was Josh Russell. Yeah. And Josh actually came from that school in Red Deer originally, before he went down to Brazil. So Dave, my instructor, was a co-student with Josh while he was coming up. Same with Garrett Curran. They were all in that same little group in that garage.
And so did that garage gym continue to grow, and is it now still a school?
Yes and no. So it is still a school, and it did grow, but not that much because it's still kind of a side project, passion project, hobby for Dave. Like,
Oh, cool.
He had full-time jobs and careers in the meantime, and I don't think he ever had a time when it was more than twice a week that he was training with the occasional open mat. It would be
Right,
like a Monday, Wednesday, or a Tuesday, Thursday sort of schedule.
Yeah.
So it was a hobbyist pace, and I liked getting into the competition side of things. When I started, my first competition was 6 weeks into training.
Oh man.
Way too fast. I didn't know anything. I gassed out hard in my first match. And I remember I got caught in a guillotine choke. It was a 5-minute match. This was up at the sub series up at Yakulik's place back in the day.
Man.
Yeah. Old
Old
school.
school.
Yeah. And I got caught in a guillotine choke with maybe 10 seconds left, and I ended up tapping with 1 second left in the match. I had no idea because I'm gurgling. I don't know what's going on with the time. They don't tell you anything.
Yeah.
And so I tap, and I look up at the ref, and he's looking down at me disgusted. He's like, "You had 1 second left." Oh, but I mean, I was at that point where 1 second I would have been lights out anyways. It was so far into the choke kind of thing. And so I was gassed and I was depressed. And then I had another match like 2 minutes later, and I went in and I got a nosebleed about 30 seconds in and just disqualified myself from the tournament. I went outside, puked in the grass, and that was my first experience as competition.
You're like, I'm hooked. This is great.
I was so mad at myself, and I was hooked to training after that because I'm like, I can do better than that. That can't be where I peak. I got to be so much better. And I remember writing up a diatribe of an email to Dave over the weekend because he wasn't there for that because he had work or something. And it must have been 13 paragraphs long about how I need to work on this and this would expose me here. And I got this whole game plan. And I think his response was, "Yep, see you Monday."
Yeah. Sounds good, buddy.
Shout out to Dave from Genki. I mean, that dude's been around for a long time. And one of the coolest things about him is whenever I've done a seminar out at Central, well, formerly Central.
Yeah, I think it's the Outpost now.
Yeah. Whenever I've done a seminar out there, he's always showing up and he's like, I just like to learn. He just shows up to learn. And he's been a black belt longer than, and in Japanese jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, he got his first black belt in Japanese jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
I forget the style name, but either way. And then he, again, speaking of a Wild West, he just started hodgepodging together as many Brazilian techniques as he could from videos, from seminars, from people that came back from Brazil. And he just started adding more and more to the curriculum to the point that by the time I got there in 2007, it was like 95% Brazilian techniques. And all of the Japanese stuff that was left was mostly takedowns from standing to the ground. And then the Brazilian stuff started.
Yeah. What a shout out, or like original OG in Alberta.
He doesn't get the credit he deserves for sure, because he was kind of like this unknown quantity in the middle of the province. Wasn't a big city guy, didn't have like a large school, but I mean, his roots go back the same as Josh Russell's does.
And such a good guy. I love talking to him. He's come down here a couple of times.
He's one of those forever white belt martial arts like George St. Pierre, just wants to learn.
We've had a few conversations on the show about those quiet killers, the unsung legends of not just jiu-jitsu but sports too, that the guys you don't hear about and who are out there just bettering themselves and doing crazy stuff. And I think those are the coolest guys, throughout so you've been doing jiu-jitsu almost 20 years.
Yeah, about 18.
Has how you defined success within the sport changed? And if so, like what does that look like for you?
Yeah, well, to start off with, most people, I don't know a single person in my entire experience in jiu-jitsu that started jiu-jitsu for the sport. They always start for a martial art, for a self-defense purpose. And so your North Star of what you're training for will always shift through time. Some people don't even shift into competition. They'll go from white to black belt without ever stepping on a competition mat. Now, I don't know if that's wrong or right, but it's been done and it's possible. And I honestly don't know if there is a right way or a proper way. Speaking again to the problem of systems, is like, you're going to end up getting culty if you start putting your flag down on what is the correct way to get there. Because if they can show up on the mats, even if it's an open mat, and they can hang with people at their level, what more are we looking for at that point?
Yeah.
So to answer your question again, yeah, it definitely changed what I defined as success as I went along. Because for me, like I said, I started competing very early, and I started using that as my measure for success, partly in an individual sense. I know we were talking before the show started about this being a one-person sport, or I guess we talked about it a little bit with CJI too. It turned into a team sport, and then it turned to shit, because it really is a one-person sport. It's you versus one person. It's a very pure thing that has like the greatest feedback cycle possible in martial arts that I've found outside of mixed martial arts, is because your own opponent tells you you've beaten them. There's no ref, there's no points per se. If it's like a straight up submission only, they will tell you if and when you've ever beaten them. It doesn't come down to subjection. They can't really argue it if they tap, kind of thing. And I love that about it.
I think that's what I love about Submission Ace, your tournament. Like I grew up in jiu-jitsu with that tournament. Like, my first one was a CBJJF. Hated it. I won. I did not like it because of like the points. And that was before they had advantages and disadvantages.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then your tournament, and back then it was only gi, because it was still gi heavy. Like every tournament was still gi heavy. And if you ran a no gi division, that was like the little one off on the corner.
Yeah. Plus, it was difficult for me as an early promoter to have enough staff to do that long of a tournament for me. So I was like, all right, you know what? Let's just do gi for now, and hopefully we'll branch out.
Yeah. But I love that sub only, because you either win or you've drawn. Like, and you don't get this like little niche thing of, oh, they attempted this submission, and then coaches are all mad. Oh, was that actually an attempt or something? It's like, no, you either take them out or accept it, or get taken out, or accept a draw.
It's as close as you can get to the pure, like, no time limit sub only things that people like Gordon Ryan made
without
popular
drawing.
Coming up. Exactly. It's impossible to do in a large format tournament because you don't have enough time in the day. And people have tried that in the past, back in like the Brazilian days and early American days and stuff. It just doesn't work, right?
The no time limit thing.
No time limit thing. And look, granted, most matches will end under 10 minutes because people just don't have the gas tank for it. But there will be those guys that have your 3.5 hour matches, and it's like, we need to get more people on the mats here, guys. So it becomes a functional impossibility. But to come back to the point, so I had competed 6 weeks in, and then I got my second competition 3 months in. So basically 2 times 6 weeks. I was just trying to hit the next one to the next one kind of thing. And the second one I won gold in. So I had like the opposite experience back to back, where it was like the worst possible first tournament and the best possible second tournament. And then I was hooked. I was hooked. And that centered my North Star on competition as my benchmark, again, for my own personal benefit, because I know that I win when I win. But also I had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder coming from a small garage dojo, coming to tournaments of guys that are like from Name Brown, from Bearing Association, or from like Gracie Baja, that have these international associations. And I'm just like Dave's student that competes, and there's like 1 or 2 of us kind of thing. I'm like, you know what? Nobody knows who I am or who we are, or that we can do this. And the fact that I can hang with them in the same style that they're learning means that this is legit to me. And it also, as sort of the representative of Dave's style, means he's legit as an instructor. So it felt like it fell on my shoulders for his sake to promote his jiu-jitsu, so that at least people could say it was on par with what they considered a traditional Brazilian lineage, which he never had.
That's exactly where my dark horse name came from, right? Because my first super fight on Sub Ace, it was against Mason Wang.
Okay.
Right? And I heard, and I kept getting all these posts. Oh, I train with all these black belts, and nothing against the guy. Like, this is a long ass time ago. I was a blue, or no, I just got my purple a week before that. And he was a purple for a while. And you're like, are you sure you want to take this fight? I was like, yeah, 100%. Is there a belt on the line? Yes, let's go.
That's all I need.
Yeah, that's all I need. And then you're like, he's also coming in 15 pounds heavier than what he said he was.
Oh, I remember this now. Yeah,
he was huge.
He was.
I didn't know how big he was until I went up and when I shook his hand. I was like, oh man, he's big. And then, but all that was the build up for his was, I've been training with all these black belts, because he was under JR, and then he went to 101, and then that's all it was. And then I was like, I'm just a small town. We have like 10 people. I'm running it. I am running this hard.
Feels good to be the dark horse, you know?
I love it. And
you got nothing to lose and everything to gain.
yeah. And I mean, now that we've grown a bit more, I'm like, is it still? But we have like that. We're still not like affiliated with anyone. We don't have like that crazy lineage. But I mean, like when I came into that one, that was when I was like, I'm in this forever.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it so much.
Yeah. And then as time went on, I had a great competition career, if you can call it that, from white to blue belt, and then it kind of petered out around purple, where I was like win one, lose one, more or less at purple. And then purple was a long belt for me, so I got to blue belt in 2.5 years. I got into purple belt 2 years after that, and then purple itself was 4.5 years, where there was like a lot of nonsense with politics and affiliations and stuff.
I remember that.
Yeah, it hit a head at that point. And it was legitimately the only time in my entire jiu-jitsu career or experience that I had legitimately considered quitting.
Yeah.
Because it was so demoralizing, thinking that there is no way forward from this point.
Because of there was like red tape kind of thing.
Yeah. So at that point in time, and this again, things change with different rules and stuff over time.
Yeah.
To put myself back in those shoes, this was like around 2012. 2013, I had brought Kyotera, multi-time world champion at that point. I think he'd won it 8 times in the gi at IBJJF, 80cc and no gi and everything else. And I was talking to him, and he's like, well, Drew, like, you're a decent purple belt here, but I would suggest, knowing that you don't have a Brazilian lineage to you, not to get a brown belt until you do. Because if you get a brown belt, it's much harder to enter into an affiliation without resetting your rank, or at least back quite a ways. Because at that point in time, IBJJF, you could challenge a purple belt level, but not above that. And so I, with that in mind, reached out to Robert Drysdale at that point and asked if, like, I went to one of his seminars that Luke Harris brought him up, and I had a private with him after, me and Dave, and we asked if we could join the affiliation. He rolled with us a bit to see what our level was. And at that point, I had one of the greatest compliments of my life after getting obliterated by Robert Drysdale.
There's levels to this.
Obliterated. I've never had a good 30 seconds against that man, and I've rolled against him a few times. He's just so good.
Really?
And it's not even that he's big and strong, which he is. He doesn't even use that against you if he doesn't have to. And it's just hits you with magic techniques you've never heard of. He one-handed toe-holded me in the gi before I even knew what that was. I just tapped to my foot hurting all of a sudden. I was like, what the hell was that? Kind of thing. He's like, don't worry, we'll show you later. And keep going kind of thing. So
is that the same bullshit that you showed Lucas that he did to me?
Yeah, probably.
Sure.
Yeah. But imagine Drysdale's elbow down on him. It was over right away. But yeah, he tapped me like 15 times in 6 minutes or whatever it was. And afterwards I was like, oh, Jesus, like this, what a horrible showing. He's like, you know what? Yeah. You're about a purple belt level. Holy crap. Like, that was the greatest compliment I could have got, because at that point I was trying to prove to everybody that I was a purple belt level. But now this, again, 80cc champ who choked out Marcelo Garcia says, yeah, you're definitely a purple belt level. It's like, hell yeah.
Yeah, that's a good compliment.
Yeah. And then he said, all right, we'll set you up with the affiliation. We'll go through the whole thing. And it turned into, okay, well, now I've got, and then I went to a Luke Harris grading after that, where I went through the tests for the purple belt, and I got the purple belt with the black bar, because we didn't have bars on our belts. We were using the Japanese style ones before that. And so at that point, now we were officially with a Brazilian lineage, and there was that thing. But then we got stuck there for like 2 years, because as a garage dojo with like 6 people that would come out that would pay $50 a month kind of thing, all of a sudden it became incumbent on us to bring up one of their higher black belts once to twice a year for gradings, because we can't grade ourselves.
Right.
They need to grade us. And that's like a $2,000 to $4,000 bill between travel, between pay, between the whole thing. And it's like, we don't even make that off our students in a year. You know, like what? No, we can't do that. And so there was this push and pull, and they weren't willing to give, and we couldn't go down there because we had full-time jobs, and this was a hobby kind of thing. And so after about 2 years of, literally, there were people in our club at that point that had started as a white belt after that didn't have a single stripe on their white belt after 2 years.
Because they had to wait for someone else to come up.
We weren't allowed to.
Yeah, that's frustrating.
That was infuriating for me as the person who, gifted my own club with this entry into the official program, that now we're all stuck in this quagmire, and like I was getting really depressed about it.
That's untenable. For sure.
And I was talking, probably bitching, honestly, to some of the refs at a CBJJF tournament, because I was reffing for them for a year or so. And, through the grapevine, I think I was talking to Brett Cooper about it, who was the head ref there. And he talked to, or, he passed that sort of idea or the problem I was having at my gym on to Super Dave, to Dave Rothwell, who at that point was one of the higher ups in the Pacific Top Team affiliation. I think he is the official lead now. But he, after this tournament, said, Drew, like, I'm out for a few days here. Do you want to have me over for a seminar while I'm out here? We're not that far from Red Deer. I'm like, yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, we got you down. How much it cost? Don't worry about that. Just charge people $40 or whatever, and I'll take what I get, kind of thing. I'm like, holy crap. There's a 3rd degree black belt that's going to come out and teach in at that point, we were in an abandoned church.
Nice.
Yeah.
I remember that.
That's
the
right.
coolest looking thing ever.
Jiu-Jitsu had paint glass, where they call it the
stained
glass windows. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But again, there was maybe 8 people that came out to the seminar. I'm like, this guy isn't getting paid his gas money basically to come out.
Yeah.
And at the end of the seminar, he said, all right, let's line up for a picture. And before the picture, and he threw me a brown belt. And I broke down. I was like,
man,
holy shit. It felt like a cage door was being opened up.
Wow.
And he let me out of this quagmire that I was stuck in for years at that point. And like, not only did I want to keep doing jiu-jitsu, but now and he told me, he's like, you're a brown belt under me. If anybody has a problem with that, they can take it up with me. Don't answer anything for anybody, because they're talking to me now through you. And you have the ability now to promote anybody without my oversight, up to purple belt, four stripes.
Oh man.
I was
like, that's how I got my black belt.
Wow. Yeah.
Because if anyone had a problem with you giving me my black belt, take it up with Super Dave.
Yeah, Dave's another one of those people. Know him in his area. He's well known in BC, but again, he's a pioneer at levels people don't even understand, because without him, there wouldn't be me. And I'm not putting myself on a high horse, but I've got roots in jiu-jitsu in Alberta that would have been torn out if I didn't have that ability to keep my progression going at purple belt. I probably would have fell off, to be honest.
Wow.
It's rough. It was, and another shout out to your tournament. It was the only one that allowed me to compete up a level, because I was always like, I was under Champion Screed at the time, and I was like, man, I just want to do my own thing. And I know that I'm probably around a brown belt level. Let's play around, or a purple belt level. Let's play around at that. But I wasn't there officially. And you're like, yeah, I don't care.
No, I love it when people want to challenge up.
Yeah.
I've had, the only problem is when people want to go down a belt. It's like, I don't really, I just got my purple yesterday. I don't feel like, no, you're purple now. Sorry. You can go up. You can't go down. But for people who want to go up, I'm like, hell yeah, get it. Go show something. If you got a chip on your shoulder, you want to prove something, what better place?
That's kind of like a misunderstanding of what it means to earn a belt, right? It's like, you're there. That's what Travis usually says, is like, if I'm giving you X belt, it's because you're there. It's not because like you're just tiptoeing over the line. It's because you are a purple belt, or you are a blue belt, or whatever.
And sometimes you have to grow into it. Sure. But you're there. And I'm probably the stingiest guy. I'm just like, right? Yeah. wear your gi once in a while.
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
But it's like, I'll promote you if I feel you're there. If I see you rolling at that level, I'm like, cool. And I rolled everybody. Like, I have no qualms. Like, brand new white belts, there's like, I get to roll with a black belt.
Isn't that a funny thing when they're like looking at you like, sensei?
I hate that so much.
Sensei. It's like,
I will say, like, you were here last, whenever that was, last month, I guess. And I think it's, you as a guest, it's incumbent upon me to say thank you for rolling with me. Like, I think that's an honor, for sure.
I think it's just respectful. Right?
Yeah.
But
it's just, think about it from the other way around, where you're the black belt that shows up to a gym that just wants to train afterwards, and people are like, may I please have, it's like, yeah, that's what we're here for. Sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Let's just slap and go.
Yeah. Sure.
That being said, though, sorry to interrupt, but that being said, there are some black belts that are like,
It's true.
stuffy about it.
It's true.
And
Especially if you don't
been there.
know them,
Yeah.
then yeah. But I know for people like you and me, that it's a more of a surfer vibe. It's like, yeah, hell yeah, we're here
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
train.
Have fun.
It is an opportunity though. Like, you know, for especially getting a higher level person here, it's just another vantage point.
Set
you
of
know?
eyes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that again I love when people do, and I don't push on them. I kind of want them to do it. Is afterwards, if they've never rolled with me, for them to ask me a question about it.
Yeah.
I love that because I am paying attention while we're rolling, and
Yeah.
if there's certain things, certain holes, certain mistakes that they make, or something good that they do, I'm happy to let them know. And
Yeah.
again, to your point, it may be something that their coach hadn't noticed because they roll with them every day,
Yeah.
or some mistake that just isn't in their style or game to
Yeah.
address. And anytime I can help somebody like that, I feel like my time being there was well spent.
Like after our roll, you told me to take up badminton.
Yeah, how's that going?
Amazing. I'm a black belt.
Nice.
I think it was.
Shuttle.
I said pickleball, but
Yeah.
oh no, that's
Too-
a bit
Too rough. One thing one thing kind of a side note here. So I was doing a little bit of, internet research on you
As one does.
as one does. And I'm like, okay, so this guy's got a successful meme account. He has online courses.
he has a book.
He has a book. He has all this stuff going on, and he also has had time to write 2 books on
3
neuroscience.
books. Oh yeah, two philosophy books.
But there's also a Drew Weatherhead
Oh yeah. Oh my god, that's so funny.
who is a neuroscience professor who has
Yeah.
written books on neuroscience.
Yeah.
And I was like, come on, man.
You know what's funny is I got plugged into a chain email like 2 weeks ago of some of her students that are like pre-grad, they're like on this project, and they're sending me like revisions to their manuscript for this study that they're doing on cognitive therapies. And after a couple of them, because I'm like, I don't want to interrupt this chain.
Opportunity.
Yeah, I missed a chance, right?
So much fun.
So I responded to the person that was one of the people on the chain. I was like, hi, I think you've got the wrong Drew Weatherhead. If you're looking for the psychology and neuroscience major who's on the East Coast, that's not me. Try a different email. And then literally, I swear to God, 30 seconds later, I get another email back from her. And this lady's like, hey, girl, you wouldn't believe it, but there's another person that I've been emailing. Who's this Drew Weatherhead? I'm like, hello again. You still have the wrong email.
Man, they're like, I've been diving into this dilemma about neuroscience, and you're like, try a reverse Kimura. I don't know.
Did they tap?
But I was like, for a second, I mean, it's all ready. You have a big list of accomplishments, and I was like, okay, he's got some books on neuroscience too. Cool. But speaking of books, do you want to? I'd love to hear about the books you actually wrote.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can find them on Amazon for anybody who wants. I've written 2 philosophical treatises, which are basically looks into big topics. So, for example, the first book was called Consciousness, Reality, and Purpose, and it focuses on those 3 major topics. So, I mean, what a crazy thing to even try to write about, but they are universal things that I wanted to look into for my own sake and then sort of report back what I found. And so it's more of like an exploratory over those 3 major topics, and I go into 9 chapters in each, making a 27 chapter exploration of consciousness, reality, and purpose in order.
I'm already back to feeling bad, so thank you.
He did it. He did it.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And so the second book, which came out a year after that, was called Layers of Truth, where I went and deep dove into the concept of truth as a concept, because it's one of those things that you think is like, it's obvious. Things are factual or they are not. So that is what truth is.
Right.
Turns out that fact is like the lowest level of what is truth. What you do with fact actually builds what your proprietary ontology of truth is. And it turns out there's all sorts of different people with all sorts of different ideas of what the actual truth is. So where do you find that, and how can you rely on finding a divining rod for your own sake? Because you have to build your own network of what you think is true. That's both a blessing and a curse, is you don't have to believe anything that anybody says out there, but at the same time, you're going to have to figure out through your own work in the real world. What you think and believe is true. And so this book went into a construct that I built for myself, that I try to level out my own thinking on truth. And it's my concept or construct is to have a well-balanced worldview. Doesn't mean you need to know everything. Doesn't mean that you have to be an expert in any given thing. But a well-balanced worldview has to be balanced between three pillars that hold a tabletop on top of it. And the three pillars are the scientific, the philosophic, and the theologic. And to the degree that you build one over the other is going to unbalance that tabletop on top. And so I put three major focuses in that book on what is truth in science, what is truth in philosophy, and what is truth in theology. And then the goal is to find a through line and to find harmony between them instead of this disunity that people tend to have, myself included. It was actually a growing experience to try to build out what this was and compare myself against it. So there's those two. And then what I've been doing lately for the last year and a half here is getting into writing fiction, which is much more fun. I'll say that. It's less heady, but it has a lot of the philosophy that I learned about and experienced and built out in my own life, built into this fictional sense, where I've started a series that's going to be a 4-book series called Fractures. The first book here on, if you're watching the video, is it only on video? Are we only on YouTube?
No, we're on everything.
Okay, so check out the YouTube if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Music. The book is called Fractures in Love. The second book is called Fractures in Peace. The third one will be Fractures in Truth. And the fourth one will be Fractures in Time. And it's going to build a full circle of a story arc that I know where it finishes before I started, and where it finishes will actually determine the start in a very secular manner that was built after the inspiration of watching Attack on Titan. I've gone through that series. If you haven't watched it, the anime series, I'm wearing the hoodie right now, the Scout Regimen. I've gone through that series 4 different times because, in my opinion, and I'm not alone in this, if you haven't watched it, you got to check it out. It's one of the best written fictional stories of our era.
Oh, okay.
And I don't think that people will ever give it enough credit that it deserves, because it's a cartoon.
Because it's anime.
It's like, you don't want to be a geek that watches anime. I'm telling you, this is every bit is poignant and important as something like Lord of the Rings. And if Lord of the Rings was anime back in the day, people wouldn't want to watch it then maybe either. But it's don't blame the medium for the message. The message was phenomenal, and it inspired me to try to build something like it. Because the storyline, for people who have or haven't seen it, it's like a Celtic knot of plot points where everything affects everything else at some point along the path that builds the total picture by the end. And so by the time you finish, you're like, now I understand what I've watched for the last 90 episodes. It didn't really, you're trying to add these blocks to build a full picture. And then by the end, you're like, I got to watch it again from the beginning to fully understand this. Now that I know what was going on. So that was the goal for me, and is the goal for me with this fictional series in Fractures. And so for people who want to check it out, I've got the audiobook that's available, not on Audible. That one you're going to have to buy on my website. But the book is available on Amazon. And you may get to the end of it. I don't know if you've finished it yet or not yet, but you might get to the end of it and be like, that was a very unsatisfying ending. It's a very shocking ending to it. It's like, why would you do that? It's like, you have to remember, this is only book 1. It makes more sense as you expand the universe, and every book will be another expansion of that fog of war of what the hell is actually going on.
Whoa. Well, I'm intrigued. That sounds awesome.
Once I'm done, you can take it and read a war by your own.
Yeah.
It's also it's also on YouTube. You're doing audio on YouTube.
That's right. Actually, tomorrow, from recording of this, every Friday I'm releasing a new chapter of the audiobook on YouTube. So you can follow the Fractures series YouTube channel, where it's brand new. I'm trying to build a following there to get excited about this next one that'll come out next year. But what I'm going to do is, I spent nearly 200 hours producing this audiobook. It's a really polished project that ended up being about 15 and a half hours long, all told. 35 chapters. That's another thing. Every book, we were talking about this beforehand, every book in the series is going to be 35 chapters, because the total story is 140 chapters, and that's important to the story.
Okay.
It's important, actually, as it opposes Attack on Titan, that was 139 chapters, or 139 chapters in the manga, which was important to Izayama, who is the creator of Attack on Titan, because the number 140 in Japanese pop culture is sort of colloquially tied to the concept of freedom. And so in his story, they never quite got to freedom. They ended at 139. And mine ends at 140 because by the end of it, it will redefine freedom in a strange way that kind of is an homage to that series.
Both numbers I do not like.
Yeah.
It's a little
Blame the Japanese.
No, it's just the look of them. In my head, I'm like looking at it, like, yeah, I don't like either one.
Yeah. So anyways, the YouTube, we're dropping a chapter. We're up to chapter 7 is dropping tomorrow, which is a very exciting chapter. This is one of the like shocking ones where it's significantly violent for people who like that.
But the prior chapters are still available.
Yes, everything will be available. So I'd suggest starting with the prologue and the author's notes, and then they're about 15 to 25-minute chapters each. It's very easily consumable. I'd suggest listening in headphones because I've got some sound effects and music that's easier to hear.
Way to go!
Proprietary music. I had it built specifically by a studio for this series.
So I'm just going to go out on a limb and say you don't have kids, right?
I have 4.
You have kids and you're doing this stuff?
Yeah. In fact, my eldest daughter sings the vocals on one of the tracks that shows up at the very end of the book.
One of them drew it too.
Yes, that's her too. So the thumbnails for every chapter on YouTube are hand drawn by my eldest daughter, who's like a phenomenal anime artist.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Once she gets like unbelievably talented and out of my money perspective, I'm going to be like, hey, come draw on that wall. And
try to pull a favor.
Yeah. I mean, I just helped you plug your YouTube channel. Come on.
I do want to ask Trav, what's our drop dead time?
4:30.
4:30. Okay, so we got about 20 minutes.
Okay.
There's a couple things I want to cover here. I did want to ask, the meme account, the BecauseJitsu. I wanted to ask if that has given you any other interesting perspective on the sport and or its participants.
Oh, definitely. So this will tie back into the earlier storyline of me getting frustrated during my purple belt, during all those political struggles. That's when I started doing memes. There wasn't really jiu-jitsu memes. There was about one account back then called BJJ Problems. They started in 2012. They're the legitimate OG, the first ones to ever do it.
Okay.
He's Brett. He's my friend who's out of Salt Lake City. I'm actually going to go see him when we go down here in a few weeks. But at that point, I was basically the second person to start like a standalone jiu-jitsu meme account to make fun of jiu-jitsu, because to me, I was actually lashing out when I first started. I wanted to cut it down a few pegs. Yeah, exactly, because I was mad. And it started off as like, it wasn't as satirical as it was like sardonic. I wanted them to hurt. I wanted to sting people in jiu-jitsu. And the weirdest thing happened when I started putting them out there on Instagram, back when you could get seen on Instagram in 2015, is people started liking it. And not just liking it, but relating to it. And it's like, we are stupid because of that, aren't we? And I was like, hold on a second. Maybe I'm not the only one that sees this.
Yeah.
And so I started making fun of all the obvious things to make fun of in jiu-jitsu. And everybody was laughing along with me. And I was like, okay. And then at that point, it shifted from sardonic humor to sarcastic humor to like, and it built its own thing that honestly, it was very organic. It was very grassroots. I never intended it to become the monolith that it has, but really I've been doing it for 10 years now.
Yeah.
And it's wild the amounts of access that I've had to the sport through an avenue that wasn't winning a world championship. Because again, I kind of like petered out my peak at around purple belt where I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be a world champion. I probably shouldn't even compete in those tournaments because I see the people that are there. And so what is my avenue? And it turned out that it was comedy through pictures on Instagram. And, you couldn't plan that. You couldn't have expected that, but it really is what has built this third rail to the scene. And again, I've accessed incredible coaches, incredible athletes. I've done collaborations with people that I probably never would have even met, let alone talked to.
Yeah.
And like I can DM people, basically anybody in the sport, and get a response because they know who I am through that account.
I mean, you're on the Black and Blue podcast.
Yeah. Look at that.
Holy cow.
It's the only reason I gave you the black belt. By the way.
Yeah. The tippity top.
I knew it was coming.
Well, there's 2 of us, so
Yeah, more money from you. You got to wear my rash guard.
Anytime. And so like, did it help you get through that period?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Like this was before I got my brown belt. Obviously, it was before I even knew I was going to, because I didn't know until I got it.
Yeah.
But it was almost therapeutic for me at that point. It was a catharsis. It was a pressure release valve where I could shit on the thing that was pissing me off, and I actually felt good about it. It didn't feel like it was out of malice after a little while. It felt like there was a camaraderie that was being built.
Yeah,
and this
that's really
community
cool.
that loved it, because who knows how many other people were out there in
Yeah.
a similar situation that
Yeah.
just like, you know what, I feel like I not only relate to this, but I'm allowed to like this. I don't have to say it in closed doors away from the coach's ears kind of thing.
Yeah.
Some of these things might be insulting to an old traditionalist.
Yeah. And it just kind of, you're not suffering alone anymore. You're suffering together.
Yeah, that's right. Misery loves company.
Yeah.
It became this whole little unity of miserable people.
Another thing I wanted to ask you, we're kind of jumping around here, but we have, just maybe 15 minutes left here. As I mentioned
I have MMA training. I'm fighting not this weekend, next weekend. So, and Jonah.
You can skip it. What do you need to train for?
Yeah, right. Well, I'm sitting there. I'm like, I mean, if he punches me in the face enough and breaks his hand, I can win that way, right?
Yeah, they're little gloves. Just train your forehead.
Yeah, right. Just dip down. What was that? Gladiator, that old boxing movie where he just dipped his head in.
Oh,
yeah. And he's like, top of the head, hardest part of the body.
We should have added that in the top 5.
Oh yeah.
Damn.
We did a best martial arts movies ever
Okay.
episode. It was
You know what?
Pung Pao, Enter the Fist.
yeah.
See, someone else has watched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on.
That's what reminded me. He says, you're saying that there's that one scene where he's like, we trained him wrong from birth as a joke. You like a head to your fist style?
It's the head to foot style. How does your foot feel now? The tongue thing.
It's so good.
Oh man. Okay. Number one movie. Sorry,
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Number one martial arts movie ever.
Ooh, ever?
Yeah. Just throw you right on the spot.
Yeah.
Okay. Tony Jaa, The Protector.
Nice.
The Protector. Okay.
That's a
that one.
great movie.
Phenomenal. And that was one that was in the era of Jet Li, who kind of set the new bar after Bruce Lee. And suddenly this guy comes out of the Philippines. I was like, he's cooler than Jet Li.
And he did like Jackie Chan style
All his own
stunts,
Yeah.
but with like viciousness.
Oh,
behind it.
bro, the Muay Thai stuff he was hitting on there was so violent, and I was like, I'm hooked.
Yeah.
yeah.
I gotta watch some of his movies. I've never watched them.
Yeah,
That's
it's a gem.
Is that the one with like
The elephant, I believe.
Yeah. Well, that's the but On Back or The Protector?
Oh, On
Which
Back.
one was the one where they go up and it's a continuous
scene.
It was like 10 minutes
I
of
want
just
to say
straight.
that's maybe
It's one of-
Songbok. Okay, I'll put them both in there because
Yeah.
honestly,
They're
those
both like just continuations.
are the
of each other.
the crown jewels of Tony Jaa is
Yeah.
Ong Bak and
Yeah.
the Protector. Yeah.
So good.
Did we in that episode? Did we mention that Danny the dog one?
Danny the dog.
It's like Bob Hoskins, and he has I forget. It could be Jet Li that's in that one, and he like keeps him in a cage.
Oh, no, that's Unleashed.
Unleashed that.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Elsewhere, it was called Danny the dog. I think.
Oh yeah.
I would
'Cause that
rate
was his
that as
name.
the highest level of his acting career. I think
100%.
that nothing ever came close because besides the martial arts that was phenomenal, I bought him as a character.
Yeah.
I was like, I feel emotionally charged for this guy, and his punches mean something. It's not just like, well, we're gonna throw some storyline in there because we want to punch people.
Yeah.
It was like, no, we want to punch people because of the storyline.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
Only other one for Jet Li would be The One.
Yes,
Because then you see the two styles.
That's
like
true.
that the Jeet Kune Do like straightforward and the wushu kind of like
Mhm.
go around. So
The only thing about Unleashed that bugs me is someone called this out, not about that movie, but about movies in general, is there's a scene in that movie where, so they're driving along and like the thugs or whatever come out like from the perpendicular direction and hit them with a car. And someone called this out like years later about other movies being like, do you know how fucking hard it would be to time that? Like you can't see them. and you can just drive out and hit them right when they're going by you.
Yeah.
Like that's not possible.
That's
Anyway,
Hollywood in general. You
That's
gotta
Hollywood,
suspend
yeah.
your disbelief for stuff like that. Marvel
Yeah.
falls foul of that every movie they do.
oh yeah,
Everything's
Yeah.
impossible.
Yeah, everything's impossible.
Like how we're like, that's unbelievable.
How this guy beat up 35 people in a row, hasn't broke a sweat.
And lived in a dog cage.
Yeah.
and yeah, it's
Like
still
the piano.
yeah. Oh,
I gotta
yeah,
rewatch that. That was a great movie.
Yeah. So I don't know. The car
The
scene,
one car scene that you keep on
Yeah, trash, utter trash.
throwing.
just garbage. So here's we got about 10 minutes left. Here's I think a important question for me that I wanted to get an answer from is, again, doing my internet research. I think I saw a picture of you with like Danaher and Jocko, who I'm a huge fan of, by the way. Big man, reading that guy's books changed my approach to life.
Mhm.
Like that guy.
Yeah, he's a modern day stoic.
stoic, and he's funny.
He's a really normal guy when you meet him.
You can imagine, But so what I wanted to ask you is, having met all these like really high level, influential, call it famous jiu-jitsu folks, is there any through line with all of them? Something that kind of ties them all together that you see as a commonality?
It is the mats. There's so many people that is literally the only thing they have in common. The jiu-jitsu, unlike a lot of different activities or professionalities, it takes a horizontal slice of the population, of the human population. So, if you're into stocks, you can get this far into, getting into the wealth circle, but not if you're into dog grooming. You know what I mean? Like there's certain things that only go so far up the ladder of society. Jiu-jitsu, you've got Mark Zuckerberg doing it, all the way down to the person you've never met in India. Like they're all in there. And the number one through line is the mats that we're all in love with. A great example of this is Pete from Origin, the guy who started Origin, who Jocko is tied in with now.
Yeah.
His business acumen, his artistic acumen is highly underrated. But the number one thing that you can get him talking for hours about is jiu-jitsu. And he's been doing it for like 20, 25 years.
Yeah.
And you can still see his eyes light up when you talk about like, oh, this one grip from De La Hiva or something like that. I'm like, you're still a nerd. We're all still nerds at this stuff. You know?
See people jump on like hotel, like in the carpet. And
yes,
like you see Mikey Muchu.
Oh, dude, the number of times I've been like, all right, drop down. Let me show you this right now.
And you just do it. And you're just like dirty ass carpets in a hotel. And you're like, yeah, I want to see the Mikey lock, or I want to see this new like Woj lock. I want to like.
Maybe that's where grappling socks started, because everybody has socks on when they do that.
Yeah. Yeah, you just kick off the shoes and you go. But I've done that so many times, and it's just second nature when you get into like the nerdum. You're just like, yeah, I want to see that, or I want to show you that. Yeah. And there are some people still, which is weird, that are like, no, I keep my secrets. But the vast majority of people are like, I'll show you.
Yeah, outside of those first generation or second generation Brazilian people, that's I mean, I don't hate on them for it. It's what allowed their style to become what it was, because they had to keep secrets and stuff in that time. But now that everything is out, like you can go train with John Danaher in the room. You can go train with Eddie Bravo in the room. Like it's wild. Like I even have a hard time rationalizing the people that I've had access to or contact with. Like I've done a podcast with Russell Peters before, because he's a jiu-jitsu blue belt. During that podcast, during that podcast, Chuck Liddell came to the door because he was training him that day in his his little training room off to the corner. It's like, I'm gonna have to cut it short, guys. Chuck Liddell's here. He's like, say hi, Chuck. I'm like, what the hell is happening right now? There's this dude in Lacombe, Alberta, that just happens to have a meme page, and suddenly it leads, like, everything was so strange to end up in these atmospheres and stratospheres of people I have no business talking to, let alone interacting with. But it is that through line. It's the only thing.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool.
It's phenomenal how it works. Like even this, like between us, when I dropped my affiliation and Carter reached out to you, I think, and it was like, I don't care who I get my black belt under. Like I don't want to deal with it. I just want to do my thing. And Carter's like, well, I'll find someone because you need your black belt. And then through you, and then through that.
Yeah, he didn't have to ask me twice. To me, it was like, take it and double it for the next person. It was passing Carmel along because I got offered that through Dave Rothwell. So
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Of course I'll offer that to someone who needs it in a similar situation.
And it's just been, I think that's how it builds up. And I think that's why you're where you're at, because you've built it up and you've just kind of snowballed up to it. You might not see like that direct line, but you've built up to that. And it's awesome. You built it from the Alberta Jiu Jitsu community and Western Canada Jiu Jitsu community does owe you a lot. I do. Competing at your tournaments is what kept my goals going, and then talking to you, having you as a mentor kind of thing. It was funny because when we were drawing up the conversation points, he's like, well,
the
what
intro,
was it?
yeah.
Yeah, but it was a coach.
Yeah, I basically understood that you had coached Travis at some point.
And I was like, well, no, he's coached against me and we've rolled against one another, but that's not kind of how it works, but it's a cool relationship to have. And I think that's built up upon it, and how you've built up to meet these people that technically you wouldn't have met otherwise.
And it's a construct that's probably somewhat unique to jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? Like, I have this problem with this belt situation. It needs legitimacy, but I'm in this I don't know that I could find another, like, an equivalent to that somewhere,
Yeah. Well, Dave, like Super Dave, the first time, like, because technically would be like somehow under him. If I went to IBJJF, I would be under him.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Because that's the only place it matters.
Yeah, and that's never going to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Never going to happen. Yeah. But they wouldn't allow any of my shit anyways. But the first time I ever met him was at Central there, when Lucas and Paul got their black belts.
No way. That was the first time.
The first time I ever met him. I might have sat beside him.
Probably saw him at a tournament at some point.
Yeah, but I've never talked to him. And then talking to him, I was like, you're kind of like me, but like a gi version.
Yeah. He's like a proto, I shouldn't say proto, but he's like an offshoot of Hodger Gracie. His whole style is Hodger. Like peak Hodger in the gi against Jacare Hodger. That's his game.
He was showing some crazy stuff, and then when he was like, oh, okay, I'll use you, and he used me for one, and he's doing like the back slap. He's like slap grip. I was like,
dude, he is so strong, deceptively. You're a strong guy. He's crazy strong.
Yeah.
His close guard is impassable.
Yeah, I was, because he was injured when I was there. I was like, oh, next time. He's like 100%, because he's another guy that will roll with everybody,
and he wants to.
Yeah. And it was cool because he's like, I'm injured. I can't. I really wanted to, but I can't. I was like, that's fair, but one day. But just from the little bit that he was showing, I was like, his grips, unbelievable. When he squeezed you in close guard, I felt like I was going to poop.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to poop. I just felt and he was demonstrating.
Yes.
He wasn't even in.
Right.
I've experienced this with a number of different high level black belts. And I say high level when I'm talking about the move that they're demonstrating is high level. Because everybody, like I said, there's a million different moves in jiu-jitsu, and you don't have to know them all, and you won't know them all, but you'll have your moves in there that builds out your proprietary style. And I've run into people like that. For example, Dave is like that with close guard. Gary Tonin is like that with heel hooks. I got to be a demo partner on one of his seminars, and he's like, oh, here, just give me your foot real quick. I'm like, all right, here you go. And the moment he closed his inner elbow on my heel, I was like, oh, I get it. Please don't break me. Like his whole body was built for that move. Same thing with Eddie Bravo. I went to one of his seminars and I was having a hard time with this lockdown technique. I was like, it doesn't feel very strong. It feels like you can just slip out. Am I doing it wrong? He's like, man, you sit down. Let me show you. And he sits down and puts me in it. And I was like, oh my God, this thing's a vice. Like, not only am I not doing it right, but his whole body was built around this move.
Boogeyman Darce.
Yes.
That is another one.
They have their move.
Yeah. His Darce, I think he Darced me like eight times in 6 minutes. I was a purple belt and like comp purple belt. I was like, oh yeah, I get to roll like this superstar that's kind of my body size, like type. And he just whooped my ass. It's that same thing. He just whooped my ass. There's levels to it, just up and down. And then he's like, you're pretty good. I was like, Oh, are you kidding me? I'm going to go cry in the corner right now.
I don't want to brag, but I've actually gotten to that level with tapping. My technique is flawless.
If you keep working out, you'll get there with badminton too.
Yeah, I think I'm getting there, man. Yeah. Thanks for your advice on that.
That's why I haven't seen him on the mats for a bit.
Yeah. And that's why this arm is so built up. Well, it's 4:30. I want to say thanks, Drew, for making the time today. This flew by.
This was quick.
Yeah, that was really, really fun and insightful, and we'd love to have you back sometime. And
For sure.
That was great. Thank you.
Next time I get a stripe.
Yeah, that's right. Hopefully before another 3 years.
And
It might be too big for me at that point.
I mean, I have been working on my pressure game, and that was actually one of the coolest things when I got on Lucas, and he's like, "Don't let him get on top. He's actually heavy." The skinniest fat guy. Yeah. No, it'll be good. Anything else you want to plug? Anything else you want to say? I saw your leg locks.
Yes, they were on sale today. I've got 7 different series on BJJ Fanatics. So you can check them out if you want. Like my whole catalog of stuff is on Drew Jitsu online. I got my own site there that you can either buy a la carte, different series, or you can subscribe and get it all as a recurring member, a monthly thing. Check out my books. I'm really putting a lot into those right now. So you can see what's free on YouTube. You can go buy the full audio book on my site. You can go to Amazon and get the books. It really encourages me as a first time starting out author when
These are
people
hard.
enjoy them.
These are
Very
hard to
difficult.
do. I'm in the middle of the editing process.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm not happy. Like this is a lot of work. You have to go beyond just writing your ideas.
It's fun for me too to start at the bottom of another iceberg where it feels like I'm still underwater and people aren't really seeing all the work that you put into it, but then you just start to crest it when you put it out there to the public. And I mean, I'm kind of like sitting here excited to hear what people think about it. Kind of
like that. It's like that 3-stripe, 4-stripe white belt, and you're like, Am I a blue belt?
Yeah, it's gonna be coming, right?
Excited.
Yeah. So please check those out and hit me up online if you want to talk. I'm very accessible on Instagram, especially. I got my personal account there, Drew.Weatherhead, or you can fire a message away to the DMs of the meme account and test your luck because everything goes past me there. It's a very big account, but BecauseJitsu for that one.
Nice.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much for jumping on. Thank you, Emmett, for throwing us together and taking the time.
Yeah, no, it's always my pleasure.
Yeah. Other than that, catch you on the flip side. Nice.